So Anne is our guest here today. She has been for quite some time the Director of Access Technology at the National Federation of the Blind, and in this role, she has worked with top companies like Microsoft, Blackboard, eBay, Apple, Google, of course, to shape the way that they develop and test their products for accessibility. She's now at Microsoft in the role of PM for accessibility on, I knew I was going to not be able to say this, the Corporate and External Legal Affairs team. And she's been in that role since 2015. She's also co-author of a book called Ensuring Digital Content Accessibility Through Policies and Procedures. And she's got a wealth of experience and knowledge. So I'll just bring her up to start talking. Welcome, Anne.
Hello, everybody. Every time, you guys are awake, amazing. Hopefully I won't put you to sleep. You guys got coffee already? Just in case? All right. How could you not have coffee already when you're in Washington, right? Exactly. So every time I come to Google campus, whether it is in Kirkland, Mountain View, New York, I always feel extremely welcome, and I am humbled and grateful by the hospitality that you have extended to me for this many, many years. My history, partnering with Google, advocating for accessibility, being a royal pain sometime for you and other companies, really. Happening, going back 10 years ago, probably. 10 years ago. Wow, many of you who in this room are probably not in college yet. Isn't that amazing? Anyway, in the past 10 years, you have listened to the voice of customers, and I really admire that about Google. I have an opportunity to witness tremendous amount of improvement coming from you and your hard work. And I think it's only right to take time to celebrate. And I want to go through some of the accessibility improvement that I've seen happening from Google in the past 10 years, which, by the way, even though I am working for Microsoft, I rejoice in that accessibility improvement because at the very heart of who I am, I'm an accessibility advocate, and I live it every day. And so when my peers are successful in this arena, I think we have the opportunity or the obligation to celebrate your success and every other company's success, that especially those who are willing and commit to accessibility and willing to do the hard work, willing to do what it takes to make accessibility possible. And you may think that partnering across the industry is a rare thing, but really, honestly, it must happen in accessibility. You and I know very well that we're competing in priorities every day. Accessibility priorities, let me try again. Accessibility priorities often compete with other priorities in product development. And I think the only way for us to gain a foothold in accessibility is for industry to partner together to move the accessibility agenda forward. Let's face it, if Google does it, wouldn't Microsoft do it? Wouldn't Apple do it? Would Facebook do it? In turn, if we work in partnership with each other across the industry, then ultimately we will make our daily work much easier. The accessibility improvement that I've seen from Google, it was a dream as of 10 years ago. Now, but some of these improvements are already visible in your products. So let's take time to celebrate some of them. You now have Braille in the various platforms of your product. You know, when we came to Google, we as in the users community, especially blind users, we were asking Google about Braille, and we weren't sure whether we were going to get it. But the fact that we have it today is something that we need to celebrate. The Chromebook accessibility is steadily improving. Google Apps accessibility continues to improve over the years. And then with the release of Android Marshmallow and Android Nougat, I must say the accessibility improvement that you have done is needed to be commended. I know individuals who are die-hard Apple fan are now taking a look at Android Nougat as viable options. This is something that we need to celebrate. You have a tremendous leadership team that provide you with proper guidance, and I've come to know many of them. Eve Anderson, of course, I consider her to be a good friend and great colleague. I'm going to pick on you, Louis. Anna, Laura Palmero from the Chrome team, Sean Laureate, and Richard John Wu. I'm going to leave somebody out, and they're going to be offended, so I better stop while I'm ahead. So, but your success here, we need to celebrate, but I'm sorry to say that it does not need to be only your success, but we need to work together again to move the agenda forward for the whole industry. Because of this reason, we are creating our products to be accessible and usable by our customers. Our customers are the most important individuals that we're served. We better start listening to them. In the recent years, every company in the industry see the strong procurement language inserted into accessibility, into a procurement policy. Our enterprise customers want to know that when they purchase our products, they want to be reassured that when they purchase our product, deploy our products and services, and that everyone will be able to use our products and services. Now, our customers come from a very diverse demographic background, as you know, and we have the responsibility as a technology company to find ways to empower every individual and give them opportunities to be the best that they can be. I also would like to point out to you that the need of our external customers are not very different from the need of the internal colleagues with disability. It is extremely important, and I think imperative for people or for the technology companies to examine our employment environment to ensure that we have an inclusive workforce. Microsoft taking that seriously. I know Google is taking that seriously, and I hope more and more people are doing this. So now, how can we ensure that everything that we create is accessible? I would like to propose that we employ 3 basic principles that I learned to work very well in the past so many years that I've been in advocacy for accessibility. And by the way, the experience that I'm sharing with you today, I hope will prove useful. At the minimum, at least it's thought-provoking, is the experience that I gleaned from seeing things happening on both sides of the camp. I think my experience is quite unique in that I used to represent solely the end users community, and now I'm working with major industry players. So I hope that my experience can be useful to you. But the 3 principles that I would like to bring to this talk are the following: empathy, engineering excellence, and policy. We must learn from our diverse pool of our customers and colleagues with disability. When we truly understand their needs, that is, I believe, when we can make the right choice on how we can innovate. As an example, if you have a complicated menu structures, why not just put a edit box, edit field where people can enter in the commands to search the command's name to search for various features in the program. So not everybody has to go through the complicated menu structures. And this is good for everybody, not just the blind, but everyone who don't quite remember where the location of certain feature set may be. So things like that seem simple, right? But we don't take the time to think about it often enough. So does accessibility design truly make product better? I believe yes. And I think you do too, because if you don't believe that it is so, you probably wouldn't be here on Monday morning at 10 o'clock. You probably watched the debate. Don't worry, I won't get into it. Last night, staying up late, and now you're here. So you must have some certain level of commitment to accessibility, which I'm very glad to know. Now, but let's just not take my word on this, right? Let's examine historical record. I believe that I have over 250 years of data to convince you that accessibility actually make our product better, and I'm going to go through them. No, just kidding. Not everything. So, but let's just look at 3 examples. If you want to know more, by the way, I have handed my book over to Anna to be included in Google Library, just for you to use as a reference material. But let me. Oh, that's good to know. But let me mention 2 or 3 things. QWERTY keyboard. So the QWERTY keyboard was created by a man, in the late 1700s. Some form of this QWERTY keyboard to allow his blind wife to write him letters when he went on many long distance business trips. I'm so thankful that our mode of transportation has advanced. We don't have to use the same mode of transportation in the 17th centuries anymore. But nevertheless, this keyboard, and some form of this keyboard, has been with us since then. I love it, the fact that accessibility actually created out of love. That's pretty cool. And standalone reading machine for the blind. So, in the 1970s, Dr. Ray Kurzweil, who now you have as part of your colleague, I'm pretty jealous about that. He is a beloved figure in among the blind community. In the 1970s, he created and invented a standalone reading machine for the blind. And back then, the machine is about the size of a washing machine, I think. And it's obviously have a very slow computing capacity. But the groundbreaking thing about this machine is it incorporated 3 important technologies: speech synthesizer, omnifont character recognition technology, and a flatbed scanner. Now, if you ask Dr. Kurzweil, and you don't get a chance to meet him, if you have a chance to meet him, I would recommend it. He's a very stimulating individual. He would tell you flat out that this machine was created because he met Dr. Jernigan, the president of the National Federation of the Blind, in the 1970s, and he asked Dr. Jernigan, what kind of problem do you want to solve for blind people? And Dr. Jernigan said, well, we want to be able to give blind people the ability to read print immediately, seamlessly, easily, just as sighted people. Well, then Dr. Kurzweil then invented the reading machine. So look at today how individually we use this technology: speech synthesizer, omnifont character recognition. Google uses it all the time. I use it all the time. And flatbed scanner, you scan pictures, I don't know, probably weekly or daily. Another technology invention that started first for the blind, and it was the record player that was invented by Thomas Edison. And if you look at his patent, is in my book, there's a reference there. He invented it, the record player, because he wanted to be able to give the blind ability to read. Now, in the last century or more, we have experienced the explosion of a multi-billion-dollar industry. I don't know how many of you like music, but I love music. And so record player just created, to give the blind the ability to read, have really morphed into supporting, like I mentioned, the multi-million-dollar music industry, which I think is remarkable. From this example, accessibility design does not only make our products better, but I believe accessibility is a true source of innovation. Again, just look at how these type of technology change how we, the public, consume information today. What about current example? Do we have any? I believe so. Recently Facebook really invest in image recognition technology now to describe images on the web. Google, Microsoft, Apple provide accessibility out of the box. You can look at Amazon and their effort in making Kindle more accessible. This is no doubt a good beginning. However, we must do even more. And you ask, why do we want to do more? The reason is we want to do more because unemployment rate among people with disability is still very, very high. And the technology that we create can help level the playing field for people with disability. If you look at the unemployment statistic for people with disability in the United States, just the blind demographic have 70% unemployment rate. The work that you do today matters a lot. Now, frankly guys, if we have a country that has that kind of unemployment statistic, the country would not survive. But yet we have people with disability all over the world combating unemployment rate this high. And again, we have an opportunity to make a difference here. In the past 16 years that I have been an accessibility advocate, I learned similarly to other areas similarly to other areas of computing, security and privacy, as an example, engineering excellence, also applicable to accessibility and accessibility design. Without engineering excellence, it's not only difficult to integrate accessibility design techniques into the development framework, but maintaining accessibility will also be very difficult, if not impossible. The industry can do more to support our PMs and engineers. Now, how many of you are PMs? Just say I. Nobody? Just one I. How many of you are engineers? I. Wow, that's great. I appreciate you taking the time. I hope I'm not too boring for you just yet. I would like to recommend the following items for your consideration as you are working in Google and as the industry press forward on accessibility agenda. I really do think, see whether you agree with me, I really do think that, you may not want to admit it because you're on camera, too. I really do think that the industry should provide engineers with better tooling. No? Yes? Yes. There you go. And we should talk more about that. And industry should do more to increase the talent pipeline in accessibility computing area by partnering with educational institutions to ensure accessibility curricula are taught at all levels. Let me ask you something, guys. Those of you who just graduated from college or been in college for the past 10 years, how many of you are taught accessibility design while you were in college or university? Nobody? I'm going to take silence as nobody. So if somebody has been taught, then please let me know. And I'm happy for you if you have. So, and the third thing that industry need to do is to celebrate the achievement of engineers who invest in accessibility and make a difference in making accessible products. And finally, companies can do more to create a well-structured mentoring program to disseminate knowledge on accessibility design among engineers. And we're going to take a look at this one by one shortly. But I think that if we take proper steps as an industry, we can swiftly and more holistically move accessibility agenda forward. And isn't that our goal? Now, one of the biggest gaps that I would like to see the industry solve is tooling. Engineers and developers need toolings that will enable them to design accessible websites and applications and other products easily, seamlessly, going back as far as the wireframe product development stage. Don't you agree? Are you nodding? Won't work. Sorry, guys. Today, when we talk about accessibility automated tools, we often think about the various accessibility testing tools, both pay and free, even though these tools are useful, but they can only perform an audit after websites or applications are created. Accessibility design must truly be built in and not add on. If we start to think about accessibility after apps and websites are created, it's absolutely too late. So what does this ideal tool look like? Well, in my opinion, this ideal tool should have at minimum these feature sets. We should find in it a repository of all accessible standard controls relevant to the platform for the engineers to use. This will help eliminate the need for customized controls. I tell you, one of the things that every time I talk to developers, I often tell them, do not use customized controls. Because if you use customized control, you're going to have to do tremendous amount of work to make those controls accessible. But it's not always clear that standard controls is any better, or at least especially for those who are new to accessibility. So we need to make those standards control easier to discover. Provide guidelines, the tool should provide guidelines to engineers on how to create accessible and logical layout so that every control and every piece of content in the applications on the website are properly marked up and can be accessed with various input devices that are not mouse-based. The tool should immediately alert engineers when it detects code that lacks accessibility property before compiling if necessary. The repository of this, the tool should also contain the repository of accessible sample code. This is going to be useful for engineers who are new to accessibility and want to learn how to code in an effective manner. At any given moment, this ideal tool that I'm talking about here should be able to provide the developers and engineers with the ability to simulate how a piece of code will function with the various popular access technology products that people with disability use. The tool should be able to detect the logical flow and order of how users use the product to complete core feature set. And lastly, we must provide a robust API and SDK so that every developer and every engineer everywhere can develop in an accessible manner. As far as I know, we have many accessibility tools out there, but as far as I know, we don't have a tool that have as comprehensive as feature set as the one I described. And if you do have any, please let me know. I believe, though, that with the use of AI technology, It is possible for someone to create such a tool. Now here's a challenge for you. Will Google do it first? Will other players in the industry do it first? Now, increasing the talent pipeline. It is important, as mentioned, for us to do more as an industry, to partner with educational institutions to elevate the importance of accessibility design study to as an equally level of importance as cybersecurity discipline. You said, wow, really? Do we really need to get that radical? Yes, we do. We really do. Accessibility need to be viewed as a core feature set. Many people who graduate from colleges and university today, especially if they graduated with a degree in cybersecurity, they are celebrated. They are recognized for their talent. We need to do the same thing for people who graduate from colleges and university today with great accessibility design knowledge. When engineers join a firm with the required skill set that the firm wants, the company has the obligation to ensure that he or she has opportunities to advance and have a fulfilling career path. Accessibility engineers need to be celebrated. And the success of the engineers who are instrumental, and PMs for that matter, who are instrumental in developing accessible products, need to be celebrated, and companies need to find ways to connect engineers with individuals who are directly benefiting from the application that they created. I think, to me, by putting a group of engineers with people with disability and listen to the end user on how their products that they created make such a difference in their life is the best way to motivate each other. And lastly, we cannot underestimate the value of a well-structured mentoring program, which ultimately will help facilitate knowledge transfer among engineers, and PMs for that matter. There's a lot of, for whatever reason, turnover among engineers and PM because there's tremendous amount of opportunity across the industry. But then what happened when an accessibility champion leaves a company? Where are those knowledges? Has it been preserved anywhere? And I think we should do better as an industry to preserve knowledge so that new engineers can take advantage of what has been done in the past. If we take this action, I honestly feel that engineers can flourish even more than they do today. But before I move on to policy, I know that my life is enriched by your work and the work of many engineers and PM whom I will never have a chance to meet. I want to take the time to thank you. Thank you for the hard work that you have put into this to empower people like me through the various technology that you created. I'm able to stay productive because of your hard work. So I thank you very much for that. I just paint to you an ideal picture of how things ought to be if the industry worked together. But you said, wait a minute. We're not there yet. And here I am. I'm looking for ways to enhance my knowledge and skill today. Is there anything that I can do, or do I have to wait until somebody else do something? No, I don't think you have to wait. And I would like to recommend the following item for you to consider. I know Google have a robust training program, and everybody else in the industry should too. And when the engineers and PM should take advantage of the training programs offered by the respective company. Please do not design in the vacuum. Always partner with accessibility subject matter expert while you're doing your design work. If you do that, you will have less regret in the end. When possible, and I know your time is the most precious commodity, but when possible, find ways to participate in the ongoing work of the various accessibility standard consortium, either in person or obtain knowledge online. If you can do it in person, this is great because it is an excellent way to connect with other experts in the industry. Regularly conduct product usability testing even when you feel that your product is compliant. And please conduct your product testing with people with disability who use access technology every day. I know that product testing can be very costly, but until we get the right tooling, we need usability testing. And if you conduct usability testing, you gain tremendous insight from the end user with disability that you can't just glean from the automated testing tool alone. Code according to accessibility standard and do not code according to a specific type of access technology solution. This is really important because if you decided to pivot one way or the other toward any particular access technology solutions, you may break your product when the next release of that solution came out, and you're going to be doing your work in vain if that technology solution decreases in popularity. Finally, let's move to policy. Companies should really think about establish strong, inclusive workforce policy. I know that Microsoft is benefited greatly by this. We are as good as our people are. We have to make sure, as the industry, that the customers whom we serve externally are properly represented by the diverse pool of employees in our organization. If we don't do that, how can we systemically tackle accessibility and understand the nature of the problem in the enough depth and breadth so that we could solve it appropriately? Always aim high. I know engineers aim high, but I am encouraging you to aim even higher when you create and develop products. Please use accessibility guideline as it meant to be used as a minimum benchmark for accessibility. Don't ever lose sight of the end goal. And the end goal is our products and services must be accessible and usable by everyone. Finally, find accessibility champions within your organization at all levels. Guys, how many people are here? 10, maybe 2 now. I don't know. How many of them walk out? But anyway. That's all. Okay, well, hey, we gained 2. How about that? But anyhow, you can make a difference. Even within a behemoth company like Google. If you are so committed to accessibility, begin to work together across all levels, top down and bottom up, and everywhere else in the company. If we take this seriously, I think that it is possible to have an accessible product with every release. So I really feel strongly that we're at a cusp of something great is about to happen. 10 years ago, accessibility was a word to avoid. Some people said, oh gosh, do we really have to deal with this? I guess suppose so, because otherwise we might be in trouble, we might be litigated against. Today, accessibility is no longer a mandate, but it's becoming something that people are welcome and becoming something that people really want to move forward with it. But it's going to take everybody. It's going to take the end users community partnering with you. It's going to take the commitment from your part. It's going to take everybody to move accessibility forward. And one day, when you're great and old, I just want to warn you, you're going to get there. And when you have to use glasses, some of you may encounter situational disability. Those of you especially who are really active and playing sport, you may have to wear crutches and stuff one day just because you break a leg or something. And to keep you productive during those times will be very, very important. And one day you're going to look back and say, you know what? If I encounter any disability, whether permanently or temporarily, I don't have to worry about losing my productivity because technologies are created to be accessible. So I ask for your commitment, and I'm giving it to you, that I will always be an accessibility advocate, and I hope that I'm able to inspire you, or at least give you something thought-provoking to go and really examine your own commitment to accessibility. And I'm hoping to see you and meet with you 10 years from now and recount the progress that I've just done early on in this presentation. All of the various accessibility improvement. Actually, you know what? 10 or 15 years from now, we shouldn't be talking about this topic anymore. It should be a matter of course. So I thank you for your time, and I'll entertain any question that you have.
Okay, so something that came to mind during your talk had to do with prioritizing accessibility. This is always a challenge for every product and every team, especially when you have tight deadlines and other scary things that are happening at the same time. How, in your experience, maybe you can give a few examples of ways that you've been able to champion accessibility in a tight environment like that?
Sure. I can't. Well, let me just do it this way. I think we have telemetries on how our products are used. Or at least I hope you do, and I think you do. We know what core features are for sighted, and for the blind, and for everybody. And I would start there. What are the core features in your products? And you make that accessible if you really have to prioritize first. You make those features accessible. And then you go from there. I don't think it's rocket science about this, because people, and I don't mean to be condescending in any way about this. I think everybody have the same needs. We just access information in a different way. Does it help at all? With respect to specific example, I'll talk about a product that actually created an accessibility community rather than current Microsoft product. And the parallel analogy will be very much identical. So we were looking at ways to create a portable book reader for the blind in my work with a company named Humanware, I don't know, in 2007, 2006 or something. And we want to make that book player accessible, and we started to evaluate what are some core features of a digital book reader. Remember, back then, digital book reader are quite new. And so we spent some time looking at what the mainstream industry is doing. And then we bring that features into the development. And the result was one of the most popular, still is one of the most popular standalone digital book reader for the blind called the Victor Reader Stream, which it's one of the most exciting project that I've got a chance to partner with various engineers, because we design everything from the ground up. And we wrestle with these priorities every day, and you do too. So I would say use your telemetries that you have available to you and make sure those core feature sets are accessible first.
That's great. Thanks.
Cool.
Oh, maybe a few more,
Oh.
a few more questions? Great.
So my name is Natasha, and I'm a developer on Maps. Before I ask my question, I actually want to turn to the audience. A lot of the things that Anne talked about, actually, we have internally. So in order for your product to ship, you must pass a given GAR rating, and we have a GAR discussion this week, so you're welcome to join us for that. We also have classes running this week because it is Accessibility Week, so educate yourself. There's an iOS, an Android, and a design class happening this week, so you're very, very welcome to come. And my question is actually around UI. When you were describing your like perfect tool or SDK, it made me wonder that we don't even have that for regular stuff. I mean, there is not one place where you can build a UI. Depending on what platform you are, you're stuck with that platform's good and bad points, right? So I think, I don't know if that will ever happen, to have one place where you can build UI and it works on everything, right? Right now, you build UI for this platform, and then for that platform, and then for that platform, mostly because otherwise you can't leverage the best parts of a given platform. What do you think about that?
Well, we must work with what we have so far, right? I mean, I honestly feel that if I have this magic tool that can split code out in all platforms and ensure accessibility of everything everywhere at the same time, that would be best. But when we, now we don't. So let me give you an example. In Android platform, you really need to think hard about how people with disability use technologies. So what are an important characteristic or attributes or feature sets that are to them? As an example, I don't know, I think this is correct. Last I checked is correct. So if it's not correct, I want you to correct me. Android Nougat, tremendous amount of accessibility improvement. But currently, if you develop a web page correctly with proper table markups in HTML, you can still not use Android Nougat with TalkBack to take advantage of that markup. So you still have to traverse table cell by cell. And you know how tedious that can get. So if you understand that people with disability want to traverse table in the way that you do, go column by column, skip columns if we need to, skip rows if we must, then in our API or our development framework, we should give the ability for the app developers to do just that. That's what I meant when I say we really need to consider the needs of customers even throughout the designing process. Does it help?
Yeah. So rather than a tool, one tool, what I'm hearing you say, each platform should do better, should care more.
Well, and tools is important, right? So if you provide necessary tutorial in the tool and said, hey, guess what, developers? Now you can take advantage of table markups and HTML, and here's how you do your development. If the tool has that feature set that will give guidance to engineers and developers, that would be even better. And remember that AT access technology emulations that I was talking about? I don't think anybody has it, but if you were to create a content and then you render it into an HTML table, you can immediately see what the behavior of navigating that table with TalkBack and BrailleBack and such like right there in the tool. I know I'm dreaming, but I really think it can happen. I really do. Somebody somewhere is going to make this.
Thank you.
I'm Wilson, working for the enterprise Hangout frontend. So we've been testing our products with various screen readers, like Chromebox to be more like the primary ones, and then
I'm surprised. I'm just kidding.
And then we also use a voiceover and NVDA
Yeah.
To test it. But is there any effort put into standardize all these screen readers so there's less surprise that we turn to another screen reader and behaves totally differently? Like, for example, voiceover is like, there are a lot of cases that it just doesn't work in one.
There's a lot of nuances. I don't know of a concentrate effort.
Yeah.
It needs to happen. And one of the things that we can do is code according to accessibility standard. If everybody does that, and I think we can unify some of the different, unify the differences and make it less so. AT are known to undercompensate and overcompensate for web accessibility or any accessibility standard that makes it very difficult for developer to develop. Now, I also understand the AT manufacturer's predicament, though they need to serve customers. So here again, partnership between you and AT, solution providers, whether it would be your peers, Microsoft, Apple, or even third-party AT, it needs to happen more. And I would love to hear your thought on how we can bring this about too. This is not just my conversation to you. This is a bi-directional conversation. So if you have some ideas, Anna knows how to get in touch with me. Please let me know.
Okay, everybody, let's.
I'm being kicked out.
I think we are actually being kicked out. Thank you, Anne, for coming. This has been a wonderful talk.